All right, welcome back everyone. It's lovely to see you all as always. And let's go straight into the superpower state. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, or leave them open if you prefer, and go into your superpower state however you normally do that. So repeating your word or phrase, using your anchor, or imagining hugging your subject. Focusing in on that love feeling, that appreciation feeling. Feel your heart expanding, that opening feeling in your chest. And allow that light, that energy to shine out from you, shine out from your chest, your heart. Very good. Now allow that light, that energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very, very good. Now allow that light, that energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from you and fill the little you, yourself as a child. Imagine that little you being filled with that light, that energy, that love, shining out from them, from that child. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood, shining that light into any darkness, filling it all with light. Everyone, everything, every experience, every circumstance, everything filled with that light, that energy, that pure, unconditional love. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill everyone who's in this group today, those who are on camera, those who are off camera, filling each one with that light, that energy, that love from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. So they're full of that light, that energy, that love. Very, very good. All right, and you can open your eyes if you haven't closed. And before I check in with each person today, we wanted to address a question or a topic that was put into the chat in yesterday's session that we just didn't physically have the time to address. So what I want to suggest today is if you have so it's getting, we're getting more and more people and there's more and more topics and questions and things. So we want to try and be as efficient as we can. So if you have a topic to address for today, a topic to aim at, whether you are on camera speaking to me or not, if you could just send that topic to Steve in a private chat, so that he has, it's easier for him to copy and paste into a notepad and then send me all the topics together. So hopefully then we won't miss any. All right, so the topic that was, and the question that was posed yesterday in the chat was about feeling self-conscious about being on camera. And the details of that, unfortunately, we couldn't find when Zoom downloaded the chat, that that piece is missing, so we don't have the details. So I'm going to address it in general, but if you have specific details to that, if you want to just pop that in the chat again now, and I'll look out for them. So there were a few people who asked this, who posed this question, this topic of being self-conscious about being on camera, and it is a very common issue. Swasti says, is that targets or topics you want to, okay, so no, so questions, absolutely, I'll take those, that's absolutely fine, but it's targets, sorry, I think I used the wrong word, but yes, so targets for us to aim at the end of the session, if you could send those to Steve in a private message. Thank you, Swasti, for asking that, so I could clarify, that's a good point. All right, so the issue of being self-conscious about being on camera, and this is not just about being on camera, you know, here or anywhere else. It's also about, it can go into other situations as well, speaking out, you know, contacting people, and there's a whole lot of variation on that. So in the first instance, of course, is the unconditional love. So filling yourself. So you fill yourself with that unconditional love. And Steve, could you actually add that to the target list, so we can aim at it as well for those people? So you fill yourself with the unconditional love, the way we do in the Superpower, and fill all the cells of your body. So you do that, and then you imagine yourself on camera, and you fill that version of you with the unconditional love, and whatever you think is the consequence of it. So, and it's going to be different for different people depending on references, but let's say, for example, you're worried that other people may judge you. Then imagine that light, that energy, that love overflowing from that version of you on camera and filling all the people you think may judge you. Fill all of them with that light, that energy, that love, even if they judge you. Okay, so that's the unconditional part, that's the superpower part. Now, if you find that difficult to do, or you know, it's challenging or even impossible, or you feel resistance to doing it, then of course we want to check those references. So what is it about being on camera that you feel insecure about or uncomfortable about, or whatever that is? So if you are, for example, if you look at yourself and you think, oh, I don't like the way I look, or I don't like the way I speak, notice, how do I know that? How do I know what's wrong with the way I look or the way I speak? What is it about it that I don't like? And if you can, if there is something, then you can home in on that. How does that feel? Where in my childhood did I feel that same feeling? It may be a different topic, but it'll be the same feeling. And of course, change those childhood memories and practice the new ones. Then come back to the superpower, love it all. So that's one option. The other thing is, if you can't identify what it is, you just feel uncomfortable and you don't know why, or you just feel self-conscious and you don't know why, then just home in on that feeling, whatever that feeling is. I feel uncomfortable. So that feeling of uncomfortable, or I feel judged, that feeling of feeling judged. And then where in your childhood did you feel that? Remember that it actually has nothing to do with now. It has nothing to do with being on camera. It has nothing to do with what other people are thinking, or what they might think, or they might judge, or anything like that. And it has nothing to do with the way you look or speak. It's the references. It looks like it's got something to do with now. But as you're experiencing now, you're thinking about going on camera, or you're looking at yourself on camera, in that moment, in the background, without your conscious mind being aware of it, your subconscious is referring to something in your childhood that says, I need to feel this way. And then your conscious mind is looking for reasons. It's because of my hair, it's because of my voice, it's because of what I said, it's because people are, judging, whatever. But those are not the real reasons. So I hope that helps. But if not, let me know in the chat. If you're willing to come on camera, of course, do that. But if not, just pop it in the chat. And bearing in mind also, of course, there is, there's no pressure to go on camera. So we don't expect you to, and we don't have any opinion on it, whether you're on camera or not. We respect everything. So it's about, if you want to be on camera and you feel you can't, that we want to make sure that you have the freedom and the choice to do what you want to do, rather than being at the mercy of any programs. So I hope that helps. But again, let me know in the chat if I've skipped anything or missed anything out, or you have any extra questions or anything like that, or you'd like to be talked through finding those references. And Steve's added it to the target list as well. Very good. And on to Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you today? Oh, we can't hear you. I thought I unmuted you.
Okay. There. Oh, okay. I'll read something real quick because I know a lot of people want to go on, because I'm pretty good. So, I love myself totally in the now. So love is the biggest eraser there is. Love erases even the deepest imprinting, because love goes deeper than anything. If your childhood imprinting was very strong and keeps you saying it's all their fault, I can't change, and then you stay stuck, do a lot of mirror work if that's the case. So love yourself in the mirror from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and even if you're dressed or naked. So look into your eyes and love you and your child within. Amen. So.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. And in addition to that, of course, for some people, that's a big leap. For some people, that's very difficult to do because, so that's a great thing to do. So give it a go. And if you find you can't for whatever reason, then of course, go through the Unconditional Love, the Superpower, and then imagine you looking at yourself in the mirror and loving yourself, and love that version of you, whether you're able to feel the love or not. And if you're there and you feel like you're doing that exercise, which is brilliant, loving yourself from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, wearing clothes or not, exactly as you are, and you're not able to do that, love the fact that you can't do it as well. So that's extra empowering. And then, of course, in addition to that, changing the childhood memories. So thank you, Lisa. Another great one, as always.
Thank you.
All right. And Tina. Hi, Tina. How are you today? With your beautiful pigtails. You look so cute.
I go back to the childhood.
Yes.
I am good. Everything is okay. I wanted to work on the memory we talked yesterday.
Yes.
And yesterday I tried to visualize and create new memory. Like I go out with my aunt and my cousin. I couldn't.
Oh.
So I didn't even bother. I wrote another letter to my aunt because I wrote before. So I wrote yesterday another one.
Good.
And this morning, I could change. I go out with her. There was no problem. But there is something I can move forward. It's like we go out, we come back, and she just took her daughter and she shut the door and she left me. Or she gave me the balloon. I have the balloon, but still, it's like she shut the door and she left me. I'm behind the door, like standing, and I don't feel good about it. And yesterday, what I was thinking about this is like, she shut the door and also she shut my brain in that moment when she was yelling at me.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was so proud of myself. I brought her daughter home and boom, she yelled at me like I did something terrible. And this was the moment where I was feeling like she shouted even my brain, like I was like blocked. I don't know what. Just something like this. So I was going today like from superpower there, and every time nothing changed. I have the balloon, I am okay, but it's something there. It's not quite like, it's something there. It's like, I don't know even how to explain.
Okay. So this is great. So first of all, well done, Tina. I am so proud of you for doing that due justice letter again, and it's such a great example for everyone else as well. You know, how number one, how powerful that due justice is in unblocking stuff and allowing you to change memories that you couldn't change before. And number two, the fact that sometimes you need to write more than one, and that's just the way it is, and it's okay, and you will see the progress. So well done for that, and thank you for sharing that. So now let's go to that memory. So you've come back. Now let me ask you, first of all, did you do a stepping stone where you come back with her daughter and she is she's thrilled with you? So did you do the stepping stone where you went out alone with the little one, and then you came back, you brought her daughter back, and instead of being angry, she's thrilled and relieved and, oh, thank you so much for bringing her back? Did you do that as a stepping stone or not?
I wanted to do that, but like I say, like she gave me the balloon, and she shut the door and she go inside the home, and I am outside, and I couldn't change that moment. This is like, I think like one little thingy there stays. It's like, I don't know even what is it.
Okay, so let's look at that. So she's giving you the balloon. She goes inside, she shuts the door, and you're outside. Now, as you think of that scene, what's the one thing that stands out most, like you notice it most? It could be a feeling or a visual or a sound.
It's like I'm frozen.
Frozen. Very good. Okay, so that frozen, where in your childhood did you feel frozen? And may have nothing to do with your aunt, it may have nothing to do with this topic, but that frozen feeling, anything there?
Oh gosh. I don't know if this is it. Like I was 5 years old that time. So now I remember, I don't know how I create this. I even talked to Steve about that. I was hardly walking. And there was like my two cousins, they were older, like 10 years older and 8 maybe, I have no idea. And I wanted to take a picture with them, but they didn't like me. And I tried to change this memory. I don't know how I create, like, how can I remember 10 months old to be, or 12? Yeah. It's like constantly is there, like, they don't like me, they don't like me, they don't want me with the picture and all that stuff. So now it's again the same thing. You took me back there.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Very good. So you're doing brilliantly. So now let's look at that memory. So you're tiny, you're only little, you can barely walk, and they're going to take a photo and they don't want you in the photograph. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So can you change it to where you're watching them? So they're going to take a photograph together and you're standing there watching them, and they go, oh, wait. Bring her in. Let's bring her in the photograph.
It's kind of like I am going there and my cousin hugging me. I see this like, yes, but I know inside me she doesn't like me.
How do you know she doesn't like you?
I just know. I just know.
Okay. So let's look at, so you know that she doesn't like you. Who else didn't like you?
Her brother, I think, because she was there, and her brother.
Any parents that didn't like you, or grandparents?
There was my mother standing. No, just mostly the older cousin, my cousin. She is the female cousin.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take her. Now, if she had had a different childhood, can you imagine her having a different childhood, being loved and fun and secure and safe and encouraged? Can you imagine?
I think she had. Her mom was much better than my mom.
Okay. And what would she have been like if she'd liked you? How would you know she likes you?
You know, she was older, and I don't know. I always feel like I was there in the middle, like nobody likes me. They like the older and they like the little one, and I was in the middle who nobody cares about me.
So now you want to make yourself the only one. There's no older, there's no younger, It's only you. You are the only child.
But I know they are there. They're different kind of.
But that's your conscious mind. So, so the work you need to do, and I know you can do this with Steve in your next session as well, is you need to change whatever references you have that say that they don't like you. You may need to do justice to your cousin for not liking you. You may need to do a due justice to her. Now, the likelihood is that's not the case. The likelihood is she did like you, but you have some kind of reference that says, you know, that's made that link of not liking you.
Yeah, probably, because when I talked to her, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I thought she liked my sister, but was opposite. She liked me more than my sisters.
There you go. So then create new memories when you were a child of your cousin favoring you and not your sister.
So, I tried to do that, but you see, this is that I know, I don't know, I can't change this.
Okay.
I try many times.
Okay. So when you say you can't change it, how do you know? What happens when you try?
Because when I want her, like, yeah, come here with us. So one time I did that. I was sitting there, but again, I go back and check this memory. Again, I know she doesn't like me. And it's like, it's not a big deal right now because I change a lot, but still it's not what I want to feel. I want to feel happy and I want to know, like, being accepted, like everybody like me, like I'm cute and this and that, but it's not like that.
I've got it. So what we want to do now is send love to it exactly as it is. So she doesn't like you. Let's say she doesn't like you. What you want to do is fill her and the fact that she doesn't like you with that same light, that energy, that love it exactly as it is, because that's going to probably release it. So Steve, would you put that on the target list, please? Yes. So we'll put it on the target list and make that your priority now for homework. Just every time you think, keep thinking of that memory and filling the whole thing with love. The little you, your cousin, and the fact that she doesn't like you.
Separate or from me the energy to them, or like
from the little you overflowing, filling the cousin and filling the fact that she doesn't like you, even if she never likes you, exactly as it is, shining that light into the darkness. And let's see if that helps to unstick it and release it, and then you can see if you can change it. But don't try and change it till you've done that. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Then see if you can change it. Does that help?
Yes, and then go back to this memory and then go back to my grandma. Okay.
That's it. Exactly. Good job. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing. Very good. All right, and Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
Hello. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
So yeah, this is ironic and funny, I guess, but it's a bit stressful as well. But so I write whatever memories come up on my phone, on the Notes app, on an iPhone, and I hadn't backed them up, and they got lost.
Ooh.
Everything is gone. So I had to start writing it down by myself, in a notebook. And I just felt really confused about what to do because they're all gone. I had really, really detailed step-by-step kind of what to do with this memory, and basically your suggestions, and I wrote them down. But because some of them were pending and I needed to change my grandparents' and parents' childhoods before I could change the actual one.
Right.
But they're all gone now. So.
Okay. So here's how I would interpret that. You don't need them. They're all memories. They're all gone. That's great. Now start from scratch.
Okay.
Now start creating beautiful new memories, wonderful, empowering, fantastic new memories. And so all you need to do is create the new memories from scratch that feel good, that are exciting, that are fun, that are supportive of you. And then if there are any of those old ones left, if your subconscious hasn't cleared them or changed them, it will bring them up for you.
Okay.
All right. So the fact that you don't have them written down anymore, that's okay. Your subconscious, if it couldn't change them, or if it can't change them, it'll bring it to your attention, and then you can change it. Does that help?
Yeah, because my plan of action was to go over the recordings.
Right.
But I don't know if that's a good idea. I think I'll just create new ones.
Just create new ones for now. And then if you want to check on something, you can go over the recordings. And Steve has been brilliant with putting in the show notes topics. So you can skim the show notes to find specific topics. But you may not need to do that.
Okay.
So see it as a kind of your subconscious giving you a clean slate to go,
Yeah.
you know what, we don't need any of the old stuff. Let's just create new stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So should I do it as so I want to feel confident, worthy, deserving,
Yes.
and then create new ones and then change the ones that contradict it?
Exactly. So I want to feel confident, worthy, and deserving. So those things you can write down: confident, worthy, deserving, just to have them, and then create memories of your parents and your grandparents. You come from a long line of confident, worthy, deserving people.
Mm-hmm.
And they were confident, worthy, and deserving because they were raised by confident, worthy, deserving people who shared that with them, who supported them, who gave them all the love, the affection, the security. They always felt safe. They had everything they needed as far as abundance goes: abundance of affection, attention, love, and material abundance, financial abundance. They had it all. You come from a very, very lucky line of people.
Mm-hmm.
All
Okay.
right, all success.
Yeah.
And then do your child, then imagine your childhood. And just for everybody, this, it's different for each person, but it doesn't have to be like a long thing. You don't have to go into great detail, as long as you've got the feeling and however it's represented for you. And then just notice if anything comes up that contradicts it, change that.
Okay. Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, that's good. I think this is a good thing. Whatever happens is good, or nothing to worry about.
Exactly. Perfect. Yes, indeed.
But I just had another quick question. So, I realized that I will always push things in the day that are the main thing to do, to not be able to do, like, I don't want to do them kind of thing. I think it's procrastination.
Yes.
But I think it comes from the idea of freedom, especially in quarantine, where I don't have school. Nobody's kind of looking at me and saying, you have to do this, you have to get this done.
Yes.
So I think it's freedom of everything. Like in India, I didn't have my own room. Now I have a room, I have a phone, I have access to the internet, all that stuff. So should I include what I have now in India as well?
So two things. Yes, absolutely. And also give them to your parents and your grandparents when they were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been there. All of this is all the freedom, all the access to everything has always been there. Number one. And then the second thing on a practical level for procrastination as well that can help, depending on, you want to be changing the references as well. But two things. Number one, take out the pressure. So pre-pave and think, if I don't do this thing today, it's okay. I love myself anyway. I love the thing anyway. And so you take off that arm wrestling. So you fill everything with love. So think of the end of the day, having done it and having not done it, and love it all exactly as it is, whatever happens. That's step one. Step two is, so you're in that state of love. Step two is imagine what it's going to feel like after you've done the thing. So whatever the main thing is you want to get done, think about, how's that going to feel once I've done it? What's it going to be like? Because then you're setting that destination as opposed to the destination of before you've done it or not doing it. So set the destination. So for me, for example, I used to procrastinate exercise, going and working out. And I would rather do this and that and the other. And then I started putting my focus, instead of what I wanted to do, instead of doing that, I started putting my focus not on that, but what I was going to do after it. So the shower, the sitting down, having a nice cup of coffee with that feeling of I've worked out, it feels good. That's where you want to keep your focus. And then throughout the day, without forcing yourself to do anything, just keep thinking of that end result. Knowing that you may not do it, you may do it, you may not do it, but keep redirecting your focus to the end result anyway. And then when you get to the end of the day, if you have done it, if you've suddenly, so what you want to do is you want to get to the point where you're not making yourself do anything, you're inspired to do it. You feel, oh, and you catch yourself doing it anyway, just because it feels good. And then you get to the end of the day, if you did it, fantastic, celebrate that. If you didn't do it, that's okay. Love it all anyway. And eventually you will get to a point where you just naturally do it because you haven't got that conflict anymore.
Okay. And I think it also yeah, thank you. And I think it also comes from my dad having too much work to do when he was young. He was always working. So is this the you balancing it out by not doing anything?
That, and also, and or that your subconscious trying to keep you in alignment with your dad by you've always got too much to do. And the only way in that case, if you've got less than a certain amount, then you have to not do it in order to have too much to do. So if you've only got 2 things to do, if you do them, then you won't be in that state. But if you don't do them, then you've always got too much to do because you're not doing it.
I always find that something happens. Like, oh, we have to go outside now. That's going to take 2 hours. Oh, that's the day finished. I can't do it anymore. It's like always in the, oh, that makes sense now.
Break that connection. So, and one of the ways to break that connection is to do whatever it takes to no longer feel that. So you do it, you don't do it, it's okay. So you're not going to play with the thing. You're not going to wrestle with it and go, oh, I've got too much to do, because then that's just repeating it reinforcing the pattern.
Yeah.
That pattern, and then there's no reason to not do the things because you don't need to feel that anymore.
Okay.
In addition to that, change your dad, of course, your childhood, where he always had plenty of time. It was like, and your mum saying to him, wow, you finished already? And he's going, yeah. And he's sitting down relaxing. There wasn't that much. I got it done.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome, Swasti. Good job, sweetheart. And Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Odille.
Yes.
How am I?
How are you?
I've written down here, I'm feeling straight-laced. I have to work now. No time for fun, Odille.
Oh. Okay. Good.
Okay, so what has come up for me today? So I was looking through stuff and what is it? Right, I'll just read it out. There's 3 points, okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so it says, I'm not financially free because I want to be taken care of. I want to feel supported and made to feel special. I'm feeling annoyed by this because I don't feel love and approval by it all. So I'm pulling this out of here, there, and everywhere, putting it sort of together.
Yep.
And now you're going to ask me a question and I won't find the answer, and this will really annoy me.
Good one. Very, very good. All right. So first of all, well done, because that makes perfect sense. That makes absolutely perfect sense. It's a perfect example of money representing love, appreciation, attention, being treated a certain way. So being looked after, feeling looked after, it goes together with feeling loved, feeling valuable, feeling valued, feeling safe, all of those feelings. And your subconscious has linked that state of being safe, loved, valued, respected, looked after, whatever that is, with financial with money, with being financially looked after. So if somebody pays for everything and looks after you financially, to your subconscious, that means I'm safe, loved, valuable, I'm worth something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I always at boarding school and wherever, I would have had money.
Yes.
Friends wouldn't have had money, but I would have had, enough.
Yes.
And Mummy, when she's at home, she had, you know, her cleaner, the gardener, so she paid for everything. Just what you're saying.
Yeah.
The window, paid for the window cleaner, whatever.
Yeah.
So what am I saying then to myself?
So what you're saying is, so what the idea behind it is that if somehow your brain has linked that if someone takes care of you financially, they care about you emotionally. It's so if they take care of you financially, it's a sign of they care about me enough to pay for whatever, to help me financially, to support me. It may be a metaphorical expression of support, either literal or emotional or psychological, physical, could be any of those. But so in other words, for some people, you know, if you love me, you would clean the house for me. If you loved me, you would give me gifts. If you loved me, you wouldn't keep going out with your friends, you'd stay with me. And in this case, if you love me, you would financially support me. Now, none of those are conscious. Yes, the conscious mind is interpreting it, but it's not the conscious mind, it's not the logic, it's the subconscious. Because so somewhere in your childhood, you learned that someone being supportive financially means value, means emotional value. It represents affection. So in other words, instead of getting affection and attention, we give financial support.
Yeah, that was true. But I mean, all my life, I did have money in the bank. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what am I trying to say with this? So I want to go back to this thing about it's the annoyance of, up until now. I've had money. I was my own boss. I was control. I could spend, not spend. I could do, you know, I gave and whatever. And then getting into this bleep bleep thing, this, the boiler scam.
Yes.
Believing them, and then just took a really high risk with all the money and all gone. So it's this annoyance. I get annoyed about. Yes. Like annoyed at my hair's not being.
So when you had the money and you were able to pay for things or not pay for things or whatever, you had that freedom. What was your emotional life like? Your relationships, what was that like? Were you happy and felt loved and supported emotionally?
When I had the money?
Yes.
No, I still hadn't. Because it still wasn't enough. Enough was never enough, even though a lot of people would say, oh my God, the amount you have, but I felt poor. I felt.
Yeah. And the reason you felt poor had nothing to do with the money. It was because subconsciously you were looking for the money to fill the gap of emotion, of the emotional feeling. But of course, that it was never going to do that because money has no emotion. Money can't love. So, but because of that, because your brain had made that link between money and love, you weren't able to see the connection between people, relationships, and love. So some people are looking to relationships to get the love they need. And of course, the answer is inside ourselves, is to change the inside, the relationship with yourself. So looking to money, expecting, feeling that feeling of financial support means love or means support or whatever that is the same as looking to a partner or a family member or a friend or whatever to give us the love, to give us the respect, to give us the affection, the feeling of safety and security. So it's still things outside of ourselves. So we want to develop inside. Now, you know, the financial situation will adjust eventually to fit whatever's going on inside. That's why we need to focus on changing the inside, and then the outside will change. So what I would do is go to your childhood and any memories of being given something financially valuable in place of love and affection, and change that. Take out the financial thing, the material thing. I mean, first of all, build that love and connection first. Put the love and affection and connection in there first. Then take out the material thing and focus home right in on that love and connection. So for example, let's say your dad bought you a toy or something in place, but he wasn't loving and affectionate. He just gave you the toy and you like the toy. Now you want to play that scene through and see your dad going, here you go, sweetie, this is because I love you so much, you're so valuable, and hugging you, having that connection, that affection, that fun, and then take the toy out of the picture and keep the love, the affection, the fun. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's the other way around. It was my mother.
Then that's fine. Then do that. Do it with your mum. So whoever that was. And then what you want to do is, well, let me ask you this now. What would happen? Let's say you suddenly got all the money back. Let's say something happened and you got that money, however you get it. What bad thing would happen?
Nothing bad. No. I'm all sorted. I'm all good.
Okay. So how would your relationships be if you got all that money back?
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So that's good. There's nothing there. So I'm just checking that there's nothing from that point of view, because sometimes we consciously want something, but then there's a fear, well, someone will take it from me, or they'll think something of me, or I'll lose it, or, you know, or it'll change me, or it'll change my relationship. So sometimes there's those kind of things, in which case, of course, we want to change those references. But if there's nothing there, that's okay. So just change that. You want to basically, as much money as you want, put at least 3 times that amount in the form of affection, attention, respect, and encouragement and fun in your childhood. Does that make sense? So let's say I want £100,000 now. I want to put 300,000 worth of whatever affection, love, fun, however I represent that in my childhood. And it's a feeling. You can create visual memories, but it's the feeling of this expansive, I've got unending love, attention. There's no limit to the affection, the attention, the love, the feelings of safety and security, and whatever memories will create that and support that, including changing your parents' and grandparents' childhoods if necessary, so that they had that. So maybe it's this way. Maybe this is another way of looking at it. Your inheritance, everybody here, your inheritance is an abundance of love and affection and safety and security and respect and kindness and compassion that's been handed down through the generations. How does that sound?
Yes, that's good. But Odille, we haven't dealt with being annoyed, and I'm still feeling annoyed.
Okay, all right. So that's and the annoyance is going to be connected to the annoyance. I suspect is coming. It's coming from your childhood, and it's presumably annoyance to not getting what you needed then, which was not money. It was affection, kindness, compassion. So here's the other thing I want to just, before I go more into the annoyance, I just want to say, so once you've done all that, then the task, the daily or the consistent task is to send love to the money situation, whatever that may be. Of course, you keep doing that using your superpower on it. Change those references first. The annoyance, if you can't, so you can love the annoyance. and just decide you love it, whether it's there or not, love it all anyway, shining the light into darkness. And if you still find it difficult, if it's still there, if it's sticky, due justice. Due justice letter to whoever in your childhood didn't give you what you should have had, what you deserved. And if you cannot, if you find that difficult, you can't find anything, you can write a letter a due justice letter to the boiler people to get that going. And then, but as you do that, be aware, who does this remind me of from my childhood, or what does this remind me of from my childhood, so that you get to the root. Because the boiler incident, the boiler scam event experience is just branches and leaves of the weed. The root is in your childhood. So you can cut the branches and weeds by writing that due justice letter. That's okay. You can change the memory, but you want to make sure that you address the root, which is affection, kindness, compassion, love, safety, encouragement, fun in your childhood from your parents.
Yeah, I just want to say that with my mother, she would always sort of, I don't know, upset me or whatever, but I was always holding a grudge with her. And then we would always go shopping. She would always buy me an outfit. And I had big time in saying thank you. And all the way home, I'd be thinking, my goodness, like, you're so ungrateful. Why can you not say thank you? But the other stuff must have been running.
Yes. Absolutely, because it wasn't you consciously that didn't want to say thank you. It was the subconscious part, the child in you that was feeling still hurt and betrayed. Or not. Exactly. So that's why you want to go earlier, change your mum completely, change those little bits that are left of her, doing whatever she didn't do, not doing what she should have done, that kind of thing, not giving you what you should have had in your early childhood, and then moving forward. And then you can change those memories you'll probably be able to change those memories quite easily. Okay. The shopping for the outfits. All right.
Right. Fantastic.
When you get to those memories, the shopping for the outfits, you could do a stepping stone memory where you say, oh, well, thanks, Mum. And she goes, you don't need to thank me, sweetheart. You're my daughter. I love doing this for you.
Okay.
Could do a stepping stone there. See how it feels. All right.
Yeah, brilliant. Yes, as always.
Good. I'm glad. All right. And then there's some stuff in the chat. So let's have a look. Odille, would you mind expanding what true unconditional love should look like? I find it hard to connect and or know what true unconditional love looks like. Family love in my family was 100% conditional. Yes. And that, I think, goes for most of us. So unconditional love looks like this. Now, a lot of people think of it as an emotion. So they think of it as, you can do anything and I'll love you anyway. And that's kind of the surface impression of it. What true unconditional love looks like is a light, an energy, a power, filling yourself first, loving yourself first, no matter what. So, I feel so embarrassed I did that, or I wish I hadn't done that. Filling it with that love, that light anyway. Then, secondly, allowing it to overflow from you and fill whatever the target is. Now, we've got plenty going on in the world today to practice on. So here's an example. Unconditional love means I can watch whatever politicians, whatever situations are going on in the world, including the coronavirus and everything else that's happening, and I can look at all of that and I can maintain my state of my heart open, light shining out from it, and loving that thing, person, situation, event, whatever it is, loving it exactly as it is without it needing to change. But that has taken practice and conditioning, because so that's pure unconditional love. But what happens is, when we're learning to do this, developing the skill, The conscious mind keeps popping in with, but they did that, but this, but, you know, how dare they, but, oh, that's terrible, and all of that. Those are programs. Pure unconditional love is just looking at it and perhaps seeing that as darkness and shining the light into the darkness. So I hope that helps. That is what it looks like. And another way it looks is that, for example, somebody steals something, like, I think I mentioned this before. Somebody took our modality, the REMIT method, and turned it into, made a course of their own without mentioning us. And we genuinely, it didn't bother us. So that's, you know, because we've changed so much, we just thought, well, good for them. That's great. But in the past, certainly, I would have felt offended. I would have felt hurt. I would have thought, well, they could have checked with us, or they're saying it's theirs, but it's not. And all of those are all programs. But because, so unconditional love is looking at that, looking at them, and going and keeping that love, loving them exactly as they are, loving the fact that they didn't mention it or didn't talk about, or they're pretending it's theirs or whatever, loving that, all of that anyway, exactly as it is, without any conditions. So I hope that helps. And that's why we practice with the training wheels of, you know, imagining the person, our subject not wanting to be with us. That's why we do that, to get used to that, holding that, because remember that unconditional love is a chemical, physiological state, as well as an energetic state and a spiritual state and everything else, electromagnetic state, but it is a physical chemical state. And what you're doing when you're holding it is you're keeping those chemicals, keeping your body and your brain filled with feel-good chemicals and keeping the stress chemicals switched off. So that's the purpose of it. It's not for their sake. It's not for your target's sake. You can, you know, if it's something you love and whatever, you can certainly see it that way. But the things that trigger you, you're not aiming unconditional love at them for their sake. You're doing it for your own sake, because it's your power. So I hope that, oh, yes, those things always pop up for me. Thank you. That is helpful. Good. My conscious always goes back to, oh, yes, I remember her stealing from me. Yes. So, of course, that's a great target for target practice. So think of the stealing. So get into the state first, because, you know, if you haven't filled up your little water gun, then you haven't got much to shoot. So fill yourself with that feeling first. Really make it strong. Fill all the cells of your body. I love them just for existing. Love everything. And then that light, see the stealing as a darkness, and shine that light into that darkness. And when you lose it, when you can't, just start again. Keep doing that. And the more you do that, you'll be amazed at how strong you become and how effective that becomes. So I hope that helps. All right. And thank you for asking that, because I know it will help others as well. All right. Carrie says, my left eye is just a little bit pink in the corner. Yesterday, it was completely bloodshot. Thank you all. Very good, Carrie. You're very welcome, and well done, everyone. So we aimed, for those who weren't on yesterday's call or didn't see yesterday's recording, Carrie's eye was red. We all aimed unconditional love at it, and it has improved. Good job. And yesterday you said that sending others love also benefits you. My question is, does that still work when you can't get into your superpower, when you can't feel love? Yes. And so, you know, when you, let's say I am going to send love to something that triggers me. And so I try and get, and I can't feel the unconditional love. I can't feel that state. I decide, I say to myself, I love the fact that I can't feel it. I love the fact that I can't feel it. That is going to bring down the stress chemicals more than if it's going to start bringing those stress chemicals down. Whereas if I was like, oh, why can't I feel it? And and that's still pumping. So it's the difference between continuing to pump stress chemicals into your system or starting to switch off that tap. And even if you can't get the feel-good chemicals going yet, at least you're switching off the stress chemicals tap. So yes, it will benefit you, and it will, the more you do it, the more you'll be able to tune into that feeling. So I hope that helps. Is it possible that as a divorce was not possible for my parents, I may be unconsciously creating situations that complicate my separation on a material level, financial level, etc., even though my decision is clear in my mind? Can I imagine my parents happily divorced to get unstuck? Thank you. All right, so that's a good one. And the answer is yes, that is possible. And yes, you can do that. What I would do is a couple of different things. I would probably do a stepping stone of your parents getting amicably divorced. So they get divorced and everything is fine. They still love each other and they're still good friends and they share everything, whatever. There's plenty to share. There's abundance. So nobody's trying to get anything from anybody else. So stepping stone. Then the final memory I would be that they stayed together and they were happy. So any memories you have of, how do you know that they were unhappy? How do you know they couldn't get divorced? They would have got divorced if they could, or they needed to get divorced. Arguments, those kind of things, change those. Change the arguments to singing and laughing and having fun and so on. So hopefully that helps. In addition to that, you could also ask the feeling of the money, the financial complications. Just check. It may well be your parents, and that's going to be a key piece of it, certainly. And then just check as well if it represents anything else from your childhood, any other experiences. Oh, Steve's already answered this. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Thank you, Steve. So Steve says, the short answer is yes, your subconscious will believe anything you give it. So when you imagine your parents happily divorced or even happily married happily, what happens in your mind? Any resistance to imagining that? This will give you some, if there is, it'll give you some idea of what or where the negative references will be. So there we go. Very good. Thank you. And that's it. Okay. Wonderful clarification. You're very welcome and brilliant session. Great. Let's do targeting. All right. So Steve, if you could send me the target list, please, and let's go into the superpower state. So deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer, and go into your superpower state. However you do that. Repeating your word or phrase, using your anchor, or imagining your friends, sorry, I heard someone unmute, or imagining you're holding your subject in your arms in a hug. Very good. Feel your heart opening. Feel that expansion feeling in your chest, allowing that light to shine out. Feeling your power. And now allowing that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Now allowing that light or energy to fill your subject, loving your subject just for existing. And now allowing that, maintaining that light or energy as your subject changes. Either your subject doesn't want to be with you or their characteristics change. Whatever happens, love it all anyway. Keep maintaining that power, that light, that energy, that love. Very, very good. Now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Lisa and fill everything and everyone in her life. All the people, all the things, all the circumstances, all the events, fill it all with that light, that energy, loving it all exactly as it is. Good job. And now to Tina. Fill Tina with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Tina just for existing. To the tips of her pigtails. And now allow that light, that energy to fill the part of Tina that felt that she's not liked. So that little Tina, fill that little Tina that can barely walk with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as she is, tiny little thing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from that little Tina and fill her cousin and anyone else who's there with that same light, that energy glowing out from her and filling everyone and everything around her. That light, that energy, that love, exactly as they are, whether they like her or not. This is her power. Very, very good. And now let's go to Carrie. So filling Carrie with that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Carrie just for existing. And that being unable to feel the feeling of being filled with light, love that as well. So love the part of Carrie that can't feel the feeling of being filled with light. Love that part of Carrie and love that feeling or the lack of the feeling. Love it all anyway, shining that light into the darkness exactly as it is, even if she never feels it. Love it all anyway. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. And now fill the memories that Swasti lost on her phone. Fill her phone. The fact that the memories are gone, love all of that, shining that light into the darkness. And now fill Swasti's dad with that same light, that energy, that love, all the way through her childhood. The stress about the work, always having too much work, the procrastination that Swasti experiences now, not getting stuff done. Love all of that anyway. Love the fact that she doesn't do it. The things she wants to achieve, she doesn't do it. Love it all, shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now over to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. And now allow that light, that energy to fill Chris's concern about managing lockdown conditions moving forward. Fill all of that, fill the concern with that light, that energy, that love. Fill the conditions, whatever they may be, worst case scenario, best case scenario, and everything in between. Love it all anyway, exactly as it is. And now the missing family members. Fill them with that same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their heads and out to their fingertips. Love them all just for existing, whether they are missing or not. Whatever's going on, whatever's happening, love it all exactly as it is, shining that light into the darkness. And now to all those who are feeling self-conscious about being on camera. So all those who feel self-conscious about being on camera or self-conscious about anything else, Fill them all with that same light, that energy, that love, loving them exactly as they are. Whether they're self-conscious or not, whether they appear on camera or not, loving it all anyway, exactly as it is. And all the causes for the self-consciousness, shine that light into all the darkness. And now all the stress chemicals that take over when a memory is not changing, love those too. Shine that light, that energy, that love into those stress chemicals, into the situation, into the memory that's not changing. Love it all exactly as it is. Love it all anyway. The conflict situation with a sibling, fill that with the same light, that energy, that love. Fill yourself, that person, with that light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love them just for existing, whether they have conflict with their sibling or not. And then allow that light or energy to overflow from them and fill their sibling with that same light, that same energy, from the tips of the sibling's toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love that sibling exactly as they are, without needing them to change, shining that light into any darkness. And the whole situation, whatever that conflictual situation is, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, whether it changes or not. That's your power. And now to everybody who's off camera today in this group, love them all exactly as they are. Fill them with that light, that energy. Loving it all exactly as it is, just for existing. And yourself later today, imagine yourself later today, whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be feeling, whatever you'll be experiencing, fill that version of you with that same light, that energy, that love. No matter what, love that version of you, no matter what. And now pick one thing, one person, one situation, one event that triggers you normally. And fill that person, event, circumstance, whatever it is, fill that with the same light, this energy, shining this light into that darkness, loving it exactly as it is, whether it changes or not, maintaining your power. Very, very good. Good job. And you can open your eyes if you have them closed. And how's everyone feeling? Was that good? Good job. And a reminder that on next Wednesday, which is Wednesday, June 24th, this meeting, this daily session will be 1 hour later. So instead of 10 a.m. Central Time, it'll be 11 a.m. Central Time, and we will be joined by the French group. So the group that's run by Sylvie Debonnet in France will be joining us for next Wednesday, June the 24th, and we'll be doing a combined session all together, which is very exciting. We're very much looking forward to it. That's the first time we'll be doing that, so that'll be fun. All right, everyone. So same thing, of course, keep practicing, keep tuning in to that unconditional bit. It can be tricky to, it's like tuning into a radio station that's a little bit, you go one way, you go the other way, and it can be difficult, but you'll feel it. You will start to identify it and know and recognize it. When you are tuned in, you'll start to feel that feeling. You go, okay, that's it. And then you'll lose it. And then you keep coming back to it. And it's just practice. And when you do recognize that you've tuned in, even if it's just for a very brief moment, a passing moment, recognize that that's a physiological state that you were there. You managed to produce those chemicals and get yourself into that state. So and if you can do it even just fleetingly, the more you do it, the more you'll build that state and that ability and that skill. And keep reminding yourself, it's not an emotion, it's a light, it's an energy, it's a power. So it doesn't mean you are agreeing with it, you're shining light at it. Okay, so I hope that helps, and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Love you all very much, and you're all